Okay, so let us continue our discussion on the acetone, butanol, ethanol fermentation process. So before we go on to look into the detailed process flow diagram, and so we have in the last class we have already gone through the overall process flow diagrams, like what are the different stages of how we prepare the seed fermentation process, then the production fermentation, and then once you have your product being produced, how do we separate it? So because if you look into the ABE fermentation, and there are not only the acetone, butanol, or the ethanol is produced, but along with it there are gases being produced, like we have the hydrogen or the carbon dioxide gas. So that has to be also so that whenever the gases are produced, we have the mixture of gases being produced, and we have seen in our biosynthetic pathways, like at what stages the gases are produced, like the carbon dioxide is being produced when the pyruvate is converted to acetyl CoA, and at the stage where the acetone is being produced. Okay, so we have seen in the detailed pathway in our last class, like there are generally two stages. One is the acidogenic phase, in which the acids are produced, and there are nothing but the acetate and the butyrate, which are the derivative of the butyric acid and the acetic acid respectively. And in the case of the solvents that we are obtaining, we have the ethanol, acetone, and the butanol, and this stage is called as a solventogenic phase. So we have seen into those details of like why there are the branch points, like we have the acetyl. So there are three branch points in the ABE fermentation. So the three branch points were actually at the point of acetyl CoA, acetyl CoA, and the butyryl CoA. And during the acid producing phase, which is this particular phase, so either of these, we have looked into details, like it is should be reached in the phosphate content. Then what happens? The substitution of this coenzyme A functional group of the acetyl CoA takes place, and it leads to the production of the acetate in the presence of the conversion of the ATP to the ATP. So we have looked at, or it can be the other way around. If it is a solvent production, maybe ethanol, it will be only in presence of the NADH. Okay, and the NADH presence can be it can be controlled by the presence of several enzymes, especially one of the main factor is the enzyme which is the ferredoxin oxidoreductase. Okay, because they control the production of the NADH in your overall fermentation media. So looking into this overall pathway of the AB fermentation, and the intermediate steps that are there. Okay, especially the production of the acetate or the butyrate, and the several the enzymes are responsible for the production of it. So one thing that is sure, like you see this type of the biosynthetic pathways are there. You have to understand, you may not be required to obviously in this online we don't need to remember anything, but you have to understand what is happening at each and every steps. Okay, so we have also I think seen the carbon balance, like if you see the starting the number of carbon atoms, if you do the carbon balance, we were starting with the 6 carbon atoms. So I think we have studied, we have done, we have looked into that. Then if you see the ethanol structure, we have the 2 carbon. Okay, if you have, for example, the acetone, and if you see the structure, there are, for example, 2 carbons. For the butanol, there are 4 carbons, for example. So how do we, so how many moles of, so for example, if you start with the glucose, so if we start with the 1 mole of glucose, we will get, for example, 2 moles of the pyruvate. Okay, and from here the 2 moles of pyruvate, there is a release of the CO2 gas, right? So 2 moles of carbon dioxide is released, and at this particular stage where the acetone is being produced, there is also a release of the 1 mole of the carbon dioxide. So if you are asked, for example, to make the carbon balance, so carbon balance means what are the number of carbon atoms at the backbone of the glucose? That's 6. At the fructose, it's 5, and then it when it reaches to the pyruvate, it is of the 3 carbon with 2 moles. So that is the total. It makes the balance of the total carbon atoms. Okay, and then there is a release of CO2. So the CO2 actually will come from the carbon atom of the glucose. So 2 moles of CO2 is released, and then what we are getting is the acetyl CoA. So the acetyl also have the two carbon atoms. Okay. So then how many? So there are generally 2 moles of pyruvate is produced. So 2 moles of pyruvate will obviously give you 2 moles of acetyl CoA, and from that, how many moles of the ethanol will be produced? So you have to make sure. So if, for example, if only this particular the route is followed, for example, the production of the ethanol from the glucose using this particular pathway, then if you do the carbon balance, so we know that ethanol is nothing but if you look at the structure, so it is a C2H5OH. So to make sure that all the the glucose, or for example all the acetyl CoA molecules has to be converted into into this precursor, then actually we can see, and there are 2 moles of CO2 is being released, or it is. So this carbon dioxide is released as a gas. So that means the whatever the carbon atoms are there, it is going to be escaped. Okay, so that we will not see in this calculation generally. So pyruvate, it starts, so from the glucose to pyruvate, we have seen in our earlier classes, if we do the overall reaction balance, the 2 moles of pyruvate is produced. So from the 2 moles of pyruvate, generally 2 moles of the ethanol is produced. So we have here the C4, 4 carbons from at this, and 2 carbons are released from as a CO2 gas. So if we take into consideration of 2 carbons and we balance, so this is a 6 carbon. So the 6 carbon is balanced with the 6 carbon of the glucose. So we have earlier also seen this overall carbon balance. So you may be asked in your exams to carry out to carry out the carbon balance. So for that you have to look into the chemical structure of the glucose, fructose, glyceraldehyde, and the pyruvate, and or the ethanol. So you may be asked, for example, to carry out the carbon balance, for example, for the butanol. So in that case, you have to write the whole synthesis pathway, and you have to tell that at what source the carbon is escaping from the system. So like in this particular case, it is escaping the system as CO2 gas, or if there is some input that is from where it is, for example, is taking a carbon atom. Okay, and then actually, like you can see from the acetyl CoA to the butyl CoA, so what is happening? There is some change in the overall carbon atoms that is happening from the acetyl to the butyl group, right? So at what stage is the addition of the carbon atoms is actually taking place? So that you have to highlight, and then you have to carry out the balance for the carbon atoms. Okay, so these type of questions maybe will be there. So you don't need to learn that overall pathway, but you have to understand this type of pathways in a detailed way. Okay, so this we have already looked into, so I will not go into this in details. And we have just started with what are the carbohydrates that can actually be used for the production of this the acetone butanol. And we have seen there are different sugar derivatives, and one of the advantage, so like in the case of the ethanol fermentation using the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, or if you have seen the production of the baker's yeast, for example. So means there are some specific carbohydrates, especially the galactose, which cannot be metabolized by those yeast, for example. But in the case of the production of the AB fermentation, actually a wide different types of the sugars. The sugars here, like in this list, can actually be classified into as a 6 carbon sugar, okay, or it can be a 5 carbon sugar. Okay, so both of the 6 and the 5 carbon sugars can be readily metabolized, okay, by the species of the Clostridium, the Clostridium, the genus material. So generally, if you see the scientific name of any microorganisms, we have the genus name, okay, and we have the species name. Okay, so generally different, so like the species genus of the Clostridium, they produce the acetone or the butanol naturally. But there are some particular species in which we will get, like in the case of acetobutyrylum, we will get very high productivity of the acetone and the butanol compared to the compared to the other species that is there for the same for the same genus. Okay, so that is why this particular organism is being highlighted, because this is, for example, also being used in the industrial scale for the production of the acetone butanol. Okay, so after this, let us. So we were discussing that we will look into these four stages. That it is the starting is the inoculum production. First, we need to have the inoculum, and then that inoculum will be transferred to a a freshly prepared media, and that in that media we have to look into what are the media composition. So that is what very much important. So, for any fermentation process is to make sure that we have all the the factors, all the chemicals that are basically the carbon source. It may be in the nitrogen source, it may be other like the some sort of the vitamins, or some sort of the cofactors that are required, that are necessary for the improving the yield of your final product. Okay, and then comes the fermentation process to understand what are the different types of reactor systems that we'll be using, and then after, if you have produced that inside that reactor system, so what will be your temperature, what will be your pH, so what conditions at which you have to carry out your fermentation process. And once you have, for example, produced your desired product, so desired product, after the fermentation you will have a combination of the product, okay, plus combination of the biomass that has grown, and along with that there will be the several bioproducts. So what are the several bioproducts? They will be some sort of the amino acids, or it may be the proteins, okay, which may be released by the these clostridium species, clostridium species bacteria in during the fermentation. So that is that downstream processing, which is the harvest and the recovery. So this is, we have already discussed. So we have seen that we carry out first the seed fermentation, and then we put in the production fermentation. There is sometimes some the variation that is there to make sure we get the higher yield of the acetone butanol. And so as we have discussed, it also produces a mixture of the gases, and in this case we have the hydrogen and the carbon dioxide gas that is being released as a combined as a combined. So we need to separate them, and we use different scrubbers, and the scrubbers basically works on the principle of the solubility or the absorption of the gases in the different bed or the packed bed. So generally these are the some of the columns. They are tall columns, and these are filled with some of the packed bed like structure, and the solubility of the hydrogen or the carbon dioxide is going to be different. Okay, and as the as the gases pass through this type of bed, so some of the gases, for example, maybe the carbon dioxide gets soluble. Okay, in for example, generally we have the calcium oxide bits, and once it reacts with react with the carbon dioxide, it will be forming the calcium carbonate. So if you then for example heat it back, you will get the carbon dioxide gas. So this is how we generally separate. Generally, the carbon dioxide is being used as calcium carbonate, okay, because calcium carbonate has a different industrial applications, and whatever is left behind is the hydrogen is being taken out. Okay, and this hydrogen is used as a energy or a fuel for so hydrogen fuel that I have discussed earlier in the last class is something which is very much coming up source of energy. But the hydrogen in the industries scales are used for many hydrogenation reactions, okay, in different applications. So this is how we utilize this type of hydrogen or CO2. So either we use some sort of a calcium carbonate, or we can use it also in form of a the dry ice, like we have discussed in the last class. And then your whatever you have the liquid component part that is there, that is being because we have the acetone, butanol, and ethanol, and both of are the alcohol. It is butanol and ethanol alcoholic derivatives, and the if you see the boiling point of butanol is higher than the ethanol. So we separate them by the distillations column. In the distillation column, we maintain the different temperature at a different region or the zone, and what will happen, the vapors will be produced. So we also have the acetone, which is also are volatile. So among the three components, the butanol is least volatile compared to the acetone and ethanol. So in the distillation column, first the if we maintain, we may reach, if we increase the temperature, so generally the acetone will form the vapors at first, and that will be separated out, and followed by the ethanol and the butanol. So by playing around the the boiling point of the individual liquids, we can separate the different fractions of it. But like in the bracket, like you can see, it is written as 60 parts, 30 parts, and 10 parts. So if you combine all together, that forms the 100. The overall 100 means the overall components that are present in the fermentation media. Okay, so this you can see, it is a ratio, you can write it as a ratio of 6 is to 3 is to 1. So what does the ratio mean? So this ratio means that because we are we are always having the mixture of either of these three compounds, okay, during the fermentation. So if you see the composition varies from 6 is to 3 is to 1. Okay, so if you start with a 1 gram of the initial all the components, like the glucose component and all those things, so we are going to, for example, get zero point 0.6 gram, okay, zero point 0.3 gram of the butanol, acetone, and then zero point 0.1 gram of, for example, ethanol. So if we combine together, will form the 1 gram. Okay, so these are the generally, the composition is not is always varying, and it depends upon the type of fermentation process we are doing, and then it depends upon on the type of the microbial species that you are selecting for the production of this acetone, or this alcohols or the acetone. So this is the overall process flow diagram. Now we will go into the substrates that are used. So generally you will find that as these are all solvents, okay. So we would, as we have already discussed, that whenever we select any fermentation products which is required in the higher volume, so we used to obviously we go for the carbon source, which are easily available at a lower cost, and maybe it is thrown away as waste. So if you see the substrates, uh, they are mostly the agricultural sources or the agricultural waste. So here we have the corn cobs. So this is the hydrolysate of the corn cobs. Then we have the hydrolysate of the sawdust. So this is specifically for the acetobutysylum, which is the main target is is here is a production of the acetic acid and the butyric acid. Okay, so if you would like to produce, for example, the acetic acid or the butyric acid, then you have to select this particular microbial species, and you have to use the corn cobs or the sawdust hydrosylates as your carbon source. And now what does this 7% mean? So 7% means that what is the concentration of the glucose derivatives, which is actually being used as the carbon source in the fermentation. So because if you see the corn cob or the sawdust, they are mixture of like different carbon, okay, and different nitrogen sources. It may contains different growth promoting factors, that maybe the vitamins, or it may be the other cofactors, for example. Okay, so the 7% represents the concentration of the carbon, because whatever this is the main source, because whatever the carbon that you are going to put in the input, right, that amount of carbon is going to convert into your final products, maybe ethanol, acetone, or it may be it may be the acetic acid or the butyric acid. So in this case, for example, the whatever the yield that is being obtained, so that yield here you can see 26.2, 22.2, and you can see this is it's showing no production of the solvent, because most of the yeah, so all this this corn cob and the sawdust is used basically for the production of the acetic acid and the butyric acids. But so now if we look into the other other substrates that are used, Okay, generally some sort of mix substrates are used, and that is also means that is specifically for the production of the solvents. So here we use the same microbial species, but along with the hydroxylates of the corn cobs. Okay, uh, uh, we add some sort of the molasses that is there. So molasses, what is the advantage is that it has some very high concentration, or it is rich in the nitrogen sources. Okay, and other components like so it has other cofactors, especially the enzyme that is required for the production of the NADPH. Okay, so this is why we see that it shows the production of the butanol during this. So the fermentation time generally 48 to 72 hours, and it is a yield of 40%. Okay, so what is the yield and what is this solvent composition, or what is the difference? Okay, so that is very important to understand. So whenever you are doing your fermentation, you have the cells which is either extracellular or intercellular, it is going to produce your solvent, your product. So as I already told you that we obtain a mixture of acetone, butanol, or ethanol as your final product. So the yield tells you that how much amount of the glucose has been converted, that carbon source. It may be any other carbon source, like in the corn cobs we are having the hydroxylates. So we will also explain what is the meaning of these hydroxylates and what happens. Okay. So before that, we'll see what is the yield. The yield means the how much amount of the carbon source that is there is being converted into the final product. Okay, that gives you the yield, and within that yield, okay, if we take that particular final product, we would like to find out what is the solvent composition. Okay, and that is very much important to know when we are doing the downstream processing. Okay, so when we are doing the downstream processing, we have to know what is the acetone butanol concentration, so that we can select the appropriate distillation columns, to obtain your final product. So here, what is happening? We are obtaining, it is shown that in this case we obtain a bit high concentration of the butanol when we have this type of molasses, because as I told you, they contain, the like biochemicals or the factors which are responsible for the upregulation of this particular ferredoxin oxidoreductase, and they are responsible, and they produce the NADH, and they provide NADH, so that this particular the pathway uh, is being carried out. Okay, so if you see for the ethanol production, or if you see for the butanol production, you need to have a high rich source of this NADH. Okay, so that is why the production of the butanol, all the solvents takes place. Then there is another culture which is called as a butyl culture. So as the name suggests, it is meant for the production of the butanol. So here also we are using, so if you see the fermentation substrate, so we have the one part of the hydroxylates of the corn stalks, three parts again of the molasses, and here we have the pentose, so which is very important. So pentose is nothing but the 5-carbon ring like structure. So why it is very important? Because most of the microorganisms always metabolize like glucose, which are 6-carbon ring, and there are very few microorganisms which are known to metabolize the 5-carbon ring structures. Okay, and we have already discussed that why we require microorganisms which can metabolize both 6-carbon ring as well as a 5-carbon ring, especially when we are using the agricultural wastes, okay, like the corn cob, sawdusts, and so on. So the another hydroxylate that can be used, it is the hydroxylate of the woods and the plants. So we know that the plants and the woods, which are, for example, as a after which are the waste products, if we can use them, so it is possible to use the like hydroxylates of the wood and the plants. Now let us look. So when we are using this composition media, and in this case we have a time of fermentation of 50 to 55 hours, we obtain yield little slightly lower yield, like 31 to 25 percentage, and but the butanol concentration is also high enough. So we obtain almost 67 to 62%, and along with that, we obtain the acetone, which is also very high, and very small fraction of the ethanol is produced, because ethanol is our, the byproduct. So as I have already discussed you in our last class, that if your interest is to produce the ethanol, then you have to, go on with the, Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast, because both the yield and the productivity is very very high. So most of the industrial fermentations which are into the ethanol production, they use the Saccharomyces cerevisiae as their, the microbial source for their production. So if you are going to have both, you want to have, the acetone production. Okay, so the acetone is the organic solvent. Okay, so if you would like to have the acetone production, then this you have to supply your substrate with some sort of, the pentose sugars. Okay, and so that actually promotes, for example, the production of, the acetone, so which is around 33 to 32% mostly in the ABE fermentation. Okay, and because why does the means that high concentration of acetone cannot be obtained? So one of the challenges is the acetone at higher concentration will be toxic to the microbial growth of this Clostridium species. Okay, so that is why this acetone is being produced at a lower, means it is produced but is present at, the lower composition in the final product of the yield. So next we were supposed to discuss what is the hydrosylates. Okay, so hydrolysates is nothing but, all the biomass are subjected to some sort of the hydrolysis. Why is it so? Because biomass, if you look into, it is made up of very long structures of, if you look into chemical composition of any plants or the, any wood, so it is made up of the components we have already discussed. It's made up of cellulose, hemicellulose, and the lignin. And all these three components are long polymeric chains of. So in the case of the cellulose, we have, the glucose units. We have in the lignin, we have, the some polyphonic phenolic groups which actually forms longer structures. And in the case of hemicellulose, we have, the xylose, 5 carbon rings. Okay, so if we are subjecting this biomass to some chemical treatment, like we carry out, the acid treatment, or we carry out some sort of, the enzymatic treatment, what will happen? We will break down the biomass into, or the cellulose component into, the glucose derivatives. Okay, and then the hemicellulose will be again broken down into the hemicellulose single units, which are nothing but the xylose units. So so this one will have a 5 carbon ring structure, and this one will have, the 6 carbon ring structure. Okay, so it can be done by both acid treatment or the enzymatic treatment. And whatever see the waste biomass that we see around from any agricultural source or any woody plant source, that if they need to be hydrolyzed so that we can break the long chains of cellulose into the very small, the smaller fragments of the monomeric units. And then this 5 carbon and the 6 carbon will be used by, these Clostridium microorganisms for the production of the butanol and the acetone. And this butanol and acetone can be used for, so butanol for the energy application, bioenergy application, acetone for in the industries for carrying out different, processes or the reactions and so on. So that is why the ABE fermentation is generally carried out with this type of, agricultural hydrosylates, and that helps in conversion of, the whatever the, the waste that was generated, that could be converted into some sort of a fuel or some sort of, value added chemicals. Now let us look into what are the other, the media composition that is there. So generally the carbon source, as I have told you, if like molasses is widely used. Along with that, we have calcium carbonate, ammonium sulfate, phosphate, okay, and the corn strip liquor, which is, in the main source of the nitrogen, even in the case of the ammonium sulfate. So if you see, so this is generally the, the growth media components that are there. If you see how this, the this Clostridium, how this Clostridium is particular species is growing. So that actually will also, affect how we are selecting the media components and how the fermentation is, yield and productivity is there. So if you see the Clostridia, they are are known to form as the spore formers. Okay, so what is the spores? So let us look into, we have discussed in several our classes that some microorganisms forms the spores, and because of the spore formation we need to make sure some change in the fermentation media components, so that the spores can actually easily disperse within the fermentation media or bioreactor in which you are, for example, growing your particular targeted that biochemicals. Okay, so if you look into this spore formation, so generally there are different, this particular slide shows you the cell cycle of the the clostridia. Okay, so initially the clostridia are in form of a spore. So this is the inactive form. So when it is in the sporulated stage, what happens? It is trying to it is metabolically it is metabolically active, but it forms your spores in which it is trying to resist itself from the outside environment. So it is creating a shell around itself. But when it is it has to be in the it has to be brought back to to the metabolically active stage, and then only it will start to produce the organic acids, or it will start to produce the solvents. Okay, so initially what happens when the spores are there, so this formation of these spores actually help in the storage of this clostridium species for the longer time period. Okay, because of the presence of this sporulated structure. The spore, during the spore, it creates an envelope around itself, and it protects itself from the environmental changes and that is going around it. Okay, so once the spores starts to germinate, it starts to produce the vegetative cells. Okay, so it, as the spores, it is in a spherical shape, it undergoes a change to form a long rod like the structures, and this is what is called as a vegetative cell. And during this vegetative state of the the cells of these of the Clostridia, there is a production of the organic acids, or the especially the acetic acid and the butyric acid. Okay, so one of the thing that can be that is generally done is that during this stage, especially cell growth and cell division actually takes place. Okay, and what is happening in this case, the overall biomass concentration of the biomass is actually growing or increasing, is increasing with the time. Okay, and once that enough biomass concentration is there, then what will happen? The further it will start to start to like if you are it starts to stores the storage material or the carbon sources inside its the membrane. Okay, so we have the initiation of the granulose formation, and inside those granules we have the acetone or the ethanol or during production takes place. Okay, so it starts to form this type of spores, and when this sporulation actually initiates, it leads to the production of acetone, butanol, and the ethanol respectively. Okay, and after the production of the solvents, these spores actually further cell assembles inside the cell, and you can see here there is a one spore inside a single cell, and these spores actually is released outside. Okay, and so that means from a single cell, one spore is being developed, and this spore actually will grow to form the vegetative cells again, and in this way it will try to reproduce or increase the cell biomass concentration. Okay, so this is the stages of the growth of the Clostridium species, and since it is in the sporulated structure at initially, so we have to do some additional steps to revive the spores. Okay, and as I've already discussed to you with everyone, so the acetone butanol fermentation is generally anaerobic process. So the growth is actually will take place in the absence of the oxygen, right? So generally, the stocks that is used to for the preservation of the microorganisms, especially in the case of in the case of the Clostridium, they are stored in the soil stocks. Okay, so in the soil stocks, as we have already seen in our last slides, I think before the midsem, they make a agar type of a gel in which different media components are introduced, and the spores that are there, they are actually inserted very deep inside the tube of this type of containing some sort of media components, so that the anaerobic anaerobic environment can be maintained, and it can maintain its viability. Okay, so so this is how generally we at this particular stage of the Clostridium species, if it is in the form of a spores, this is how generally it is stored in the deep tubes of semisolid. The medium is generally potato glucose medium, and to make it as a solid medium, we add along with these two components, we add agar. Okay, this agar helps in the solidification of the tubes, and then the spores are actually inserted deep inside the tubes, and left behind. Okay, and the potato glucose medium actually provides all the adequate the nutrients that is required to maintain its viability. Then after that, as we have seen, that it starts to produce the vegetative cells. So this occurs when it occurs, so when we have the submerged location of the spores, and there is a high reducing power of the medium. So the medium being the glucose source, and there is high reducing power medium, then actually the vegetative cells are produced from the oxygen after germination of the of the spores and vegetative cells. So there is a production of these vegetative cells under the high reducing power. Okay, and the submerged location of the spores. Okay, and after the vegetative cells are there, then it is being means once it reaches the vegetative cells stage, then it will be starts to produce in the organic acids, especially acetic acid, butyric acid. So it will be used as a inoculum, and then it will be used for the production of the organic acid or the acetic acids. Okay, so so this is how generally the these are the stages of the growth of the s- the Clostridia species. Okay, and we'll look into how to generate the inoculum. So from the first stage is to bring back this from the spores is to the vegetative cell. Okay, then once it is is used it is at the vegetative cell, and then we will go for example the acetic acid production, and then we have the several stages of the inoculum development. And then after the inoculum development, there are stages for how we use the inoculum into a production into a seed fermenter, and then to the production fermenter. Okay, so if you look at the inoculum, the volume of the inoculum that is being used is varies in the range from around 2 to 4%. Okay, so we take from the seed fermenter. So seed fermenter is a fermenter where we have already seen that we increase the biomass concentration, and we have another the production fermentation fermenter, which may be represented as PF. And when we initiate the fermentation process, we take a very small fraction of it, and we transfer it into our freshly made in a freshly made batch of the production fermenter. And so this amount of volume, how much we take it, it actually the 2 to 4% of the total volume of the production fermenter. Okay, so we generally go in this range. So at each stage of this inoculum transfer, so when we are transferring this thing, this particular amount of 2 to 4% of the inocula, several things has to be maintained. One thing is the anaerobic conditions are actually produced. So because we have to make sure that the cells are not exposed to the oxygen. So for that we have to make that the anaerobic conditions are maintained. And how do we maintain that anaerobic conditions? By maintaining the reducing condition of the media to which it is being transferred. Okay. And then we have to immediately use of the freshly sterilized and the cooled media before the air becomes inverted. So most, as we of know, that before we start any fermentation process, we have to sterilize, for example, the the media components, or all those things that are there. So after that sterilization, we generally keep it at a room temperature for long duration of time to so sterilization is generally, or autoclaving is generally taken place at 121 degrees Celsius and at the 15 psi. So at this high temperature, as it is once the sterilization of the autoclaving is done, we try to keep it open, and we try to cool it down under the room temperature. And what happens during this time, the oxygen from the air actually may get uh, dissolved depending upon the solubility of the fermentation media. So the oxygen will be solubilized inside this media, and that oxygen, the dissolved oxygen, basically will interfere with the fermentation process. So it is very important that once that the fermentation media is sterilized, it should be immediately used before a large fraction of air is dissolved or it gets into it. Then how we make the anaerobic condition is to make the is to carry out the evaluation of the fermentation gases, and also by filling the headspace of the inoculum tank with the sterile gas with a slight positive pressure. So that this is a very important step, and this is also what mostly followed in the industries also. So what is the head space? So if you see a particular bioreactor, okay, so it has it is a bioreactor is overall a very complex the reactor that has been designed. So here we have the impeller, and on the top of it we have several probes and all those things connected using inside a fermented system. Okay. And when you're carrying out any fermentation reactions, it is not completely filled with all the media components. Okay, so there is always a space is kept in between the the growth media components of the fermenter that is placed, and the top plate. Okay, so that is sometimes kept so that there is no contamination from the outside source if it comes in the top plate, and there may be a spillage and there may be a site for contamination. Also when you are, for example, rotating the impeller, it will generate the vortex, and that will so if the vortex is at a very high speed, then the vortex formation, there is a formation of the some sort of ellipsoid structure of the liquid as the liquid is moved. Okay, so that may come out or spill out, or that may contaminate other probes that are connected to it. So it is to make sure that during the transfer we have anaerobic condition is to fill the tank. The open part of the tank is to fill with the inert gases such as the nitrogen or the argon gases. Okay. After this, there are several stages. Means after this, if you have prepared the inoculum by maintaining, and so this is how we have to transfer this inoculum to the fermenter. But before that, there are some things that is to be checked for. Okay, so what are the things? So they are the pH, okay, the density of the inoculum, and the rate of at which the gas is evolved by the inoculum, the presence of the facultative anaerobic tested by the aerobic plating on the agar medium, and some of the microscopy observations is required to to find out if any contaminants are present. And once these the five parameters are being checked, so whatever the inoculum the transfer process that we have mentioned in this slide, so that is that is actually done. And during the inoculum development, so first of all, as I told you, we have to develop the inoculum. During the inoculum development, the time frame that is required is varies from 24 to 26 hours. Okay, and then after that only it is being added with the production tank. Okay, so these are the 5 parameters that are checked for to make sure that inoculum is contaminated free and it has the adequate cellular concentration or biomass concentration to be used for the production of the acetone or the butanol. Okay, so if you see the inoculum development for the Clostridium, so this is some of the case studies that you are going to we are going to see is the inoculum of the Clostridium acetobutylicium. Okay, so the stages of the inoculum preparation actually are actually a bit a bit different. So first of all, the spores of of the soil. So the first spores are actually added to the soil stock, okay, inside the deep tube which contains the corn media. So generally there are two types of media that are used. So one is the corn media and another is the molasses media. Okay, so both have their own, we will look into this in the next slides, that both of them have their like it requires other cofactors and the other nitrogen sources for the production of for the fermentation process. But generally means we go with the 5% carbon meal in water. Okay, and in this the spores of from the soil stocks are added deep into the tube, and then the tubes are incubated at a temperature of the 37 degrees Celsius at for 20 hours. Okay, and then whatever the biomass concentration is obtained, that is adjusted in the range of 6 to 7% by solid. And like this we carry out repetitive inoculum development, like we have talked, like here in this case we take 2 to 4% or 5 6 to 7% of it, and we put into the ferment the production fermentation, and then we take from the production fermentation and we inoculate or use it as subculture for the development of the new fresh inoculum. Okay, so such type of reputed inoculum transfers uh, were carried out. Okay, for this AB fermentation. So in addition, for all the tests described above, we also find out the the titratable acidity test. Okay, that is required especially for the corn culture inoculum. Now what is the titratable acidity test? So so generally, if you see what are the things that are being produced in this fermentation. So we have the acetic acid, butyric acid, and the ethanols, acetone, and the butanol. So if you see the this acetic acid, we know the acids are, and they will release their protons very easily. So that means so this is what that titratable acidity test means, and that means whatever the protons that is being released by the acetate or the butyric acid, that can be measured. Okay, so and from there we can find out like how much is, for example, the productivity of your final fermentation. So uh, so actually this titratable acidity shows that there is acid breakup. Now what is the acid breakup, that we will discuss in our upcoming slides. So the acid breakup is the conversion of the acetic acid to the acetone and the butyric acid to the N-butanol. Okay, so how means, so if the acetic acid is being produced, how we can reverse it back to the acetone, and if butyric acid produced, how we reverse back to the N-butanol. Okay, so so like we have I mean, so that can be determined by how much by measuring the titratable acidity test, because both acetic acid and the, for example, the butyric acids. So what will happen if the acetic acid is converted to the the acetone, the overall pH of the medium should be decreasing, right? So this type of the titratable acidity test actually tells you around during the fermentation that if we have more amount or more fraction of the acetone or N-butanol, or it is more fraction of the acidic composition, especially the acetic acid or the or the butyric acids. Okay, so if you look into the media composition, so there are two types, as I told you, the molasses and the corn medium. So in the molasses, it is nothing but it is the byproduct for the sugar industry. Okay, and it is directly used as a raw material for the medium, and the sugar content in the form of sucrose is maintained at the 6%, or is the the overall sugar content in form of sucrose is maintained. For this, the backstrap or the high taste molasses are used. So these are the two types of the molasses that are very much highly used for the production of this acetone butanol ethanol. And for the night, so this actually forms a part of of the carbon atom. And in the case of the calcium carbonate, super phosphate, and sometimes corn soup liquor, they are the main part of the nitrogen. Okay, so nitrogen is the main source for or nitrogen as well as a main source, especially in the case of the corn strip liquor. And there are other derivatives like the calcium carbonate or the phosphate. So superphosphate, we know why it is required, especially if you are going towards the acetic acid or butyric acid, we require the superphosphate, or we require the calcium carbonate, where the calcium acts as a cofactor for the several enzymes cascades that are there. And generally, the fermentation time is 18 to 24 hours using the molasses as as the medium. So there is another, the medium which is known as the corn medium. Okay, so to make the corn medium, first what is being done is the corn meal is passed through a magnetic field to remove the dust or any other, the metallic components. And this metallic, and after this, it is uh, followed by the degerming process. Okay, to remove the any germs or anything that is present. Now, corn oil is actually removed from the sprouted gem. Okay, the degummed oil is then ground to fine powder in the roller or the hammer mill. Okay, so so we carry out, we carry out the mechanical disintegration. Okay, of the corn, and from that, when we are getting the solid product, which is made into a fine powder form, and what we are getting the liquid product, which is the corn oil. So so for the preparation of this meal production, 8 to 10% of the corn meal is added to the water without or without stillage, and that is a residue for the proceeding of the fermentation. Okay, so now the stillage means, what is the meaning of the stillage? So the stillage is, you can say that it is the residue formed in the previous fermentation, and this being added to the medium approximately at 20 to 30%, 30 to 40%. Okay, so the stillage means that the process by which we can take in the biomass from the previous fermentation, that like what we have discussed in this particular this diagram. So this process, or the fraction of it that is being converted, that is being the converted into converted used into from taken from one fermenter to the production fermenter, and this is what is called as a stillage. And here it is carried out at 30 to 40%. So therefore it is being classified with the new term called stillage, because if you see the inoculum, generally the inoculum is in the range of 5 to 10%. Okay, but since it is a in this case 30 to 40% is the biomass residues are taken, so they are actually called as a stillage. Okay, so why it is being done? So it leads to the addition of certain proteins, carbohydrates, and minerals. Okay, and minerals to the initially prepared, freshly prepared media, and that actually helps or promotes in the production of the acetone butanol ethanol. Okay, so this is the overall thing of the corn medium, and for the molasses medium. And so anyone has any class doubts or any questions till now? So anyone? So if not, then we will continue continue our class with discussion on the growth curve, what are the different phases of the fermentation, and after that we will look into what is the yield, and how the product can be recovered after the fermentation is being carried out. So if no one has any questions, so thank you everyone for joining, and we will have your quiz that was supposed to be on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we will have it on one day before. Okay, on Tuesday next week. Okay, so so on the Tuesday next week we will be having your quiz. It may be of 30 to 40 minutes quiz. Okay, and it will be a standalone quiz on that particular day. So I will upload the slides. I uploaded the other slides, and you already have the videos and everything with you. So please, go through those slides before you come and attend the quiz. Okay. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, sir.